German soldiers were shocked when they first met with the T-34 tank. In July of 1941, a German tank commander wrote, "When the Russians first appeared in front of us in the T-34, we were astonished. The T-34 has good armor, an ideal bulletproof shape, and a large gun. This made it a major threat to the German tanks. But what can we do with these massive monsters? Our 37mm anti-tank guns were like knocking on them like a stepping stone. Our only rescue was the 88mm anti-aircraft gun, the only one that could penetrate the latest Russian tanks at the time." The 88mm anti-aircraft gun was indeed an effective weapon against the T-34. The German upper echelons instructed that armor-piercing shells should be fired from 1000 meters into the turret of the T-34. If it is to shoot its hull, it should be fired from a closer range of approximately 800 meters. However, they also have a problem. They are too large and stand there like a huge barn. Although they are able to effectively penetrate the T-34, when the enemy finds them, it is difficult to escape. When the 88mm gun exposed its target, it was subjected to hostile artillery fire and suffered heavy casualties. And they also needed elsewhere in the front line for air defense operations, so they are not always available. In reality, there were numerous occasions when the German infantry had to fight these Soviet monsters without air support and without anti-tank guns. So, before waiting for a comparable German tank to be produced, the German soldiers had to use their brains to find other ways to deal with the T-34. The Soviet tank had a low silhouette and it was fast, so it was difficult to get around them, and you could only penetrate the T-34 from the side at close range. Fighting tanks with small arms on an open battlefield could be a shocking experience. So the German soldiers came up with the following tactics. The chief weaknesses of tanks are their relatively poor visibility, their inability to defend themselves within a close radius of the vehicle. This is called the dead space. So the first step is to look for the dead spots around the T-34 tank. If the infantry is within 19 meters in front of the tank or 40 meters behind, it will not be damaged by the T-34's main gun and the coaxial machine gun. At a distance of 5 meters in front and 8 meters behind, the light weapons of the tank crew could not hurt them. German infantry could use anti-tank rifles with armor-piercing bullets when hunting the T-34. Under the command of one officer, the machine gunner and the anti-tank rifleman fired these bullets at the hatch and observation hole of the tank at a range of 400 meters and 1000 meters. This tactic will not paralyze the enemy tank, but maybe can blind it. Attacking a tank at close range requires a lot of courage, and the best way to teach an infantryman not to be afraid of a tank is to have him sit in the tank and try to look around and feel the narrow vision of the tank crew members. The Germans used this technique in practical training. Like the Red Army, the Germans were required to hide in trenches or foxholes, and wait for enemy tanks to approach before climbing out to attack. They could climb up the rear of the tank, then use an axe to cut through the shutters of the transmission chamber or throw a grenade into it. If the soldier happened to have no axe, he could also grab a handful of mud, climb up the tank, and smear it on its observation window. This is a very nice theoretical solution. However, the German infantry anti-tank manual did not indicate the success rate of the above-mentioned method, nor did it instruct them on how to deal with the infantry that accompanied the advance of Soviet tanks. Of course, there are also more traditional infantry anti-tank weapons, such as grenades. The Germans instructed that 2 grenades should be tied together with ropes and then wrapped around the gun barrels as they approach the tanks. Grenades can blow up the barrel in this way. The Germans were also equipped with smoke grenades and anti-tank mines, which could blind the crew for a short period of time. If the tank tracks are blown off, smoke grenades thrown at it will also force the occupants to leave the tank. But again, the Germans did not have many examples of infantry adapting these tactics in actual combat because it was very dangerous. At the same time, T-34 tanks often fought in groups, accompanied by Soviet infantry. It was not until later that German infantry had much better anti-tank weapons, such as the Panzerschreck and the Panzerfaust, and the number of Soviet tanks destroyed by individual soldiers rose sharply. However, the above-mentioned tactics show once again how bold soldiers can be and how crazy tactics they develop in desperate situations.